We got a new series called Unmasking the Lie.
What?
It actually started last week.
I got to update Jeremy on this one.
Okay.
Oh my God.
None of my sermons sound the same, so they like them on the same series, because if I didn't tell you, you would never know. That's all I'm saying. But this is called Unmasking the Lie, A Mother's Tale. A Mother's Tale. Here's what we're going to do, guys. What I'm going to try to do with what we're doing here is the day in which we're living, man, it is full of darkness, full of evil, full of hate, full of, everybody, something bad happens and one group uses it to destroy the country, one group uses it to run and hide. I mean, we live in a day and time where everything is just out of control. And more than anything, people are just confused about what do you believe. But in the church, it's even worse. You got liberal churches, progressive churches, Christian churches, all these. You don't even know what to believe about God anymore because it's been so changed and moved. And anyway, so this whole series is kind of facing on the lies and deceit and the confusion, and hopefully expose. What I'm going to do with this is expose the truth. So this ain't really about the lies; it's about the truth. Because people can't see the truth because we're so caught up in the lie. But that's the way we were told it was going to be. And I've warned us about it, and talked about it. Let's see if this works. He says it works. Ta-da! Unmasking the lie. Mary Ann, help me, baby. 2 Thessalonians 2, 9 through 10.
The coming of a lawless one will be in accordance with how Satan works. He will use all sorts of displays of power through signs and wonders that serve the lie, and all the ways that wickedness deceives those who are perishing. They perish because they refuse to love the truth and so be saved.
The problem is not, the problem in life is not that you're broken. The problem in life is not that you've been deceived. The problem in life is when you refuse to accept the truth.
Right.
That's our problem in the church today. That's our problem in this world today. Now, with that being said, when the truth comes out, you got a choice to make. And I found this quote today. Jeff will love this. Truth is not what you want it to be. Well, yeah, truth is not what you want it to be. I want it to be on this screen, and it's not there. By the way, we got new software coming, all that. We'll have all this up to speed, real up.
It seems crashing.
It does not like your PowerPoint because you embedded something in it.
There's nothing embedded but the right.
One moment.
Yes. All right. It's the devil.
You embedded the truth.
Again.
It's delayed Y2K. It's okay.
It's delayed Y2K. No, since we're waiting on that, I'll tell you what I did on Y2K day. I'll tell you what I did. We had some neighbors, and their house was built exactly like ours, but they had converted their garage into like a sunroom. And I went in earlier in the day, walked down there, unlocked the back door, walked out. We went to my house. You got the countdown going on. 3, and the fuse boxes are in the garage. We're in their sunroom. I stuck in the back door. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit the main breaker. Lights go out, and you should have heard them scream. Man, it was beautiful. Yeah. I need to bring my computer just in case. We'll try. And the thing is, there ain't any slides to what I'm doing, but I want you to see it.
It does not like whatever you do.
It's the devil.
It couldn't handle the truth.
Yes, the devil can have a computer.
Well, it is Windows 10.
That's true.
On those first 2 slides, and then you get to the third one, and that's where it crashes. Like, we can literally have the first 2 slides up at any time, and we flip to the third one, and it crashes.
Can you go to the fourth one?
Click on the
Try it, it died. Thought about that. I tried
First
it.
2
It
slides
died.
are fine.
Well, here's the deal. You know what? I really don't need it on this sermon because I only got like 10, 12 slides anyway. Normally I have a lot more. Hey, read the quote for me because I just pulled it this morning.
Trust is not what you want it to be.
Trust truth.
What truth to be. It is what it is, and you must bend to its power or live a lie.
Yeah, truth is the truth. It ain't going to change. Either you bend to it or you're going to live a lie. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, the life. My hope is that when we get through this little series that rather than just hear the truth, we're going to embrace the truth and bend to the truth. Because here's the deal, we're going to be able to walk out of here and not see the truth on the things we're going to be covering. Because the deeper truths of God is what sets us free. It really is. Now, the greatest show, the opening clip I played. Man, that's a great movie. I mean, it really is. The Dream, it's about a dream. That's what you saw. You saw the greatest show being performed when he had it up, but he started off as that little kid who was nothing. Nothing. I mean, just a dream. But here's what I know about dreams. A lot of people don't like dreams. A lot of people don't want to talk about dreams or visions or about their life. But here's what I know. Dreams are come from God. Now, you can be dreaming about having another husband, like you got the husband you got now. If that ain't from God, that dream is not from God. Okay? Just saying. So you women, you know, we're just saying. But a true dream is from God. A true dream is from God. It really, 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 really is. Now, let me give you a warning. Let me give you a warning. The show is The Greatest Showman. It's about greatness. That's what it's about. It's about becoming from nothing, coming from something broken, and about being great. But greatness never looks like greatness. And even when you get there, you don't even realize you're there. So let me give you a biblical warning about greatness. And it is a biblical warning. Greatness. If I could take the themes in the Bible and define it, out of brokenness, hurt, misery, oppression, chaos, out of rejection, out of abandonment, out of failed hopes and dreams, out of death, out of destruction, the unseen, the unexpected, the story of the underdog is what God uses to create greatness. So if you think we're all sitting here, we didn't have the golden spoon, we're not rich, we don't have everything, we never had it good, well good. God can take your life and do something great with it. Because if you had everything figured out and you were handed everything and everything went perfectly, God can't do nothing with you. God just kind of does things a little bit differently. So the Bible defines greatness, a biblical definition, is when we fulfill the will, plan, and purposes of God. But the problem with us is we got our own plans and our own purposes. And greatness is defined by the Bible by living a life with deep faith and trust. If there's two things that the church does not have today, it's faith and trust. No, we have faith. I believe in Jesus. No, okay. The faith is when you face something and you face the storm, you face everything, and you don't walk away. You don't surrender. You don't change. You're bold. The reason that faith and trust is always together is because you don't have trust in God to change your situation. You don't have trust in God enough to go through it. So we bail out, we get out of the marriage, we get out. And the last thing I want to say is greatness is defined by having godly wisdom and discernment to make the right choice. To make the right choice in spite of everything that stands in your way. You want to do something great? Everything's against you? And you make that choice, you're going to fail because you're different. And the world hates you for it. The world attacks you for it. The world's going to reject you, persecute you. That's greatness in the eyes of God. He said, but I'll be in jail for standing for the Word of God. So was Paul. Greatness never looks like you think it looks like. Never does. Now think about greatness. If you go back to the Old Testament, Bible times, even the New Testament, the thing about it is women. 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 They were second-class citizens. But in God's hands, in God's eyes, they're not. They're not. The first promise of a Savior to save the world, to redeem the world, came through a woman, not a man. You women have a way that God uses you that men can't, I don't know, we just don't get. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. I believe God knows our true worth. I think half of our church or more grew up in really tough family situations. You know? And some of us didn't. Some of us have been in marriages and that didn't end right. So somewhere we've all seen this brokenness. Somewhere we've all failed. Now let me tell you where I'm going. There's 3 separate stories in the Bible that I'm going to touch on, okay? 3. And one of them is my favorite story in the whole Bible, I think. If we truly are trying, I'm going to tell you what we're trying to do as a church. You ready? I'm not trying to build a church down the street. I'm the kid. I'm P.T. Barnum, and I'm looking in the storefront when I was a kid, when I wasn't wanted, and wasn't loved, and was thrown away, when people didn't see nothing good in me or my family. But I knew something was in me. And everything has led to this day to build something different, to build a church that could be that greatest show. Not because it's a show, but man, people are absolutely alive, love, fire, passion. I can say the things that no other pastor will say because they don't know how to say them. I believe that we can become something so great that it's going to change church. I believe we can change church. Not to be what Jeff wants. I want to capture what's been lost. I've been watching my whole life. And this is what I know. Perfect people need not applaud because you don't understand what we're trying to build. But if you've been through something, you get what we're trying to build. We want to build that greatest show. And I'm going to show you how God has already put the foundation in place in your life, not even in me, in your life. To make your life that greatest show. And I'm going to show you some things. Now, the first story, remember, there's 3 stories, 3 women. Hey, it's up!
Don't ask, just go with it.
Story number 1 was about a prostitute mother. No looking around at anybody, assuming things. I'm not talking about anyone here. It's the story of the Bible, 1 Kings chapter 3. It's a story of 2 mothers. Both mothers are prostitutes. Both mothers have 2 newborn children. Children. All right? Now here's the deal. These 2 prostitutes, these 2 mothers, these 2 children, they were poor. There's no father. They live in the same house. All right? So these children weren't born into a very good situation. Now, during the night, one of the children died. It's a tragic accident. One of the mothers rolled over, squished the kid. Kid died. Now, here's where the story gets. That happens. I mean, we have a goddaughter that died. Basically the same thing. They brought the kid. The kid was put in the bed with them. The dad was a hard sleeper. They wake up. Mama goes to the crib. The kid's not there. Went frantically looking for the kid. The dad got up in the middle of the night, grabbed the kid. The kid was crying. Laid in bed with him. The kid was between them. And the kid suffocated. They called it SIDS. They weren't charged. It was an accident. That's happened here. This mom had an accident. Something bad happened. Right? But here's what she did. She got up and said, my kid's dead. My friend's over here on the other side of the room. Right? Goes over and exchanges babies. She takes the live baby, leaves the other one with the dead baby. When the mother who woke up and thought, this baby's dead, this isn't my baby, she goes to the other woman and says, give me my baby back. So there's this big fight. Well, so along the way, here comes the king riding through town. And they got the king's attention, and the king comes over, and he listens to their argument. That's my baby. No, that's my baby. That's my baby. He had no idea whose baby it really was. So he put him to the test. So in 2 Kings, that's chapter 3, I'm about to say 13. And verse 1 where he said, this is what the king said, bring me a sword. Then he gave an order. Cut the living child in 2 and give half to the one mom and the other half to the other mom. The woman whose son was alive, the real mom, was deeply moved out of love for her son and said to the king, please, my lord, give her the baby. Don't kill him. But the other mom, she says, neither I nor you shall have him cut him in 2. And the king gave his ruling. Give the baby to the first woman. Do not kill him, for she is the mom. How did he know she was the mom?
Lay down her life for her child.
Compassion.
Yeah. What you have in this story is a mother that even though she didn't look like much in the eyes of the world, she was a prostitute, she didn't have much to give her son possession-wise. They were living in poverty. There was no father in the home. But this mother, even though she was living in a terrible life situation, of her own control or not of her own control, but that's where they lived. It was a terrible life. She still had honor. She was willing to give that child up. To let that child live. To let that child have a life. Even if it meant life without her. Yeah. She was giving that kid the greatest gift a parent could ever give. Life, love, value. I value you so much, I'll do what's right by you, for you. And that's what happened here Sunday with Jeff's testimony. Jeff, tell us what you said last week. What did you praise God for?
That my mother, when I was born, she gave me up for adoption. She had several other options available to her, but she chose adoption.
And you praise God that she did that for him to have a life, for him to find his purpose and his calling destiny. Now, the thing is, me and Anthony talked about it on Monday. And I said, Andrew, what did you think about Jeff's... I'm okay to say this? Okay. I said, what do you think about what Jeff had to say? And Anthony says, I wish he was lying. Not wouldn't call him a liar. He's like, but what Anthony come to realize at the end of last week's service, you know what? There are good moms out there. And even Jeff could be angry. What maybe you don't know is, we talked later in the week, is that it wasn't always good, right?
No.
You had to fight the thoughts that you were nothing, you were nobody, or she don't love me. But somehow God brought peace, and when you realized the truth, and the truth was, she actually loved you enough to do the right thing. But when you're the hurting kid, you don't get that. Now here's the thing about this young child. I can't keep calling him a young child. I got problems. Hey, the young child. We're going to give him a name. Okay? The Bible didn't give a name. We're going to give a name. And since we're in South Carolina, and we got a guy from Woodruff here, we're going to give him a good old country name. We're going to call him Billy Bob. Billy Bob. So if ever I refer to this kid, I'm going to call him Billy Bob. Huh? Yeah. Billy Bob. Yeah. Not Diane. Now, Billy Bob was born into extreme poverty. He was born into a terrible family situation. He had no father. He was born into an evil world that somebody would steal him and replace him with a dead baby. But yet he was valued. The mother had honor, and the son had value. Didn't matter their economic situation. Didn't matter their family situation. She was willing to do right for the kid over her own needs. Now, luckily for Billy Bob, the king was a wise man and found out the truth, right? But here's the deal in our society today, is the story doesn't end that way today. Many parents find themselves in the same situation. A single parent, a bad job, living in poverty. You know what we do? You do what my mom did. You give up. You walk away. You don't do the right thing. You know, in this world we live in, we've grown accustomed to taking the easy way out. As long as I don't have to feel pain, as long as I don't have to work hard, as long as I don't have to suffer, we'll let the kid suffer. He'll be all right when he grows up. We'll let that person suffer. We always do right by our own selves rather than others. And many children find themselves like Billy Bob. You know, they can grow up angry, rebellious, give in to the evil, destroy themselves, destroy they destroy God. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm nothing. Do you know who my mom is? My mom's a drug addict. My mom gave her body for anything she wanted. We watched this growing up. We were on the streets, boys' home, foster home, thrown away, and we're angry. You know how easy it is to live your life being a victim? Because nobody loves you. Somebody did you wrong. This is the society that we live in today. Everybody's a victim. And if you're not a victim, they'll make you a victim. And if you're a victim and you're not even acting like a victim, they'll use your story and make you. It's just crazy. Billy Bob's mom didn't come from much, but she was a hero. She faced a terrible situation, but she did the right thing, and knowing that, she honored herself. She honored Billy Bob, and she honored God. That's good stuff. We can learn a lot from a mom like that. Now, story number 2 is Hannah. The mother is Hannah. This is Samuel. 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel. This is Hannah had an issue. She was barren. She couldn't have a child. There's a lot of people. Michelle's here. You know, Mackenzie's adopted. Y'all bet Mackenzie. A lot of people didn't know Mackenzie was adopted. And whenever she's adopted, that explains something. I don't know what that explained, but but here's what I know. I mean, when a woman's barren, when a woman can't have that baby, wow. You feel bad. In Hannah's life, they made fun of her, they mocked her, society rejected her. Her own family did that to her. But here's the thing about her. She was different. She could have been angry at life. She could have been angry at this. She could have been, but I was talking to my brother-in-law this week when I was over there. And I finally asked him, I said, as I spend more time with my brother-in-law, I'm learning that what he's angry about isn't what we think he's angry about. We got it all wrong. So I finally asked him, he's got rheumatoid arthritis. He was always at the beach. He was a lifeguard. He professionally sailed boats. I mean, he's always been a pain in the rear too, But he's been angry for a long time. But we thought he was angry over what's happened to him. So I finally asked him, I said, Dan, what is going on with this? I mean, what do you think? What do you blame, mom or dad? Do you blame yourself? Do you blame God? Because I don't hear him say those things. Yeah, that's his bones. That tripod is the size of his bones. He has no muscle. His fingers are all bent, and he can't get up, he can't move. I mean, he's a mess. He goes, no, I don't blame my parents. I don't blame God. Sometimes things happen. And I made peace with that a long time ago. And I really get that. What he's angry about isn't that. Hannah never gave up on God. She never cursed God. She never cursed her parents. But one day, God heard her prayers, right? Huh? Guess what? She gets pregnant. All of a sudden, she had made a promise to God. How many people said, God, if you only do this, I'll do this for you? Raise your hand if you said that and you actually did it. I don't expect I see no hands. Some of y'all wanted to raise your hands, but I didn't want you to go to hell, so I don't answer that question. Hannah said, God, if you give me a child, I'm going to give him back to you. And he's going to grow up in your service. So God gave her a child. When the kid was weaned, which means he was able to eat on his own and walk on his own, and you figure around 3 or 4, maybe 5. She took him to the temple and gave him to the priest. Said, here, Eli, I promised this kid to God. I'm honoring God, giving it to God. Wow. Honor, integrity, character, commitment, loyalty, faith, courage. Which one of us could actually do that? Especially if you're the barren mom. What did God do? He gave her 5 more kids after that. But you know what God really gave her was not the extra 5. You know what he gave her? You know who Samuel come up to be? He was the last of their judges. He was the first prophet. And he anointed the first 2 kings. Samuel and David. Solomon. Right, thank you. Solomon. Wow. Wow. Your son is like the most respected and honored man in the kingdom. That God would use him to pick and anoint the kings. This is good stuff. Funny, you know what happened today if you made a promise to God and God gave it to you, and you told you wouldn't tell somebody, yeah, I'll give my kid away. Social services and the police they say you crazy. They'd put you in the sane asylum, they'd lock you up under the jailhouse. Everybody would curse you and laugh at you and mock you. But you made a commitment to God and God gave it, but you honored God. And aren't we supposed to be able to do these things? And think about the kid. What if he grew up? My mom just took me to church and threw me away. You know what my mom did to me? True story. I was 5 years old. 6, maybe 6. She was trying to get rid of us, and she took me and the one next to me. And this is in Woodruff, Methodist Church. Go to Middle Town, turn right, I think on the Fountain Inn. Yeah. The Methodist Church. She took us to the pastor's house. That's where my grandmother went to church. I'd never met there, never went to church there. She took us to his house. She told us on the way there, she says, man, they got go-karts, they got this. You're going to have the greatest life ever. What she was really doing was she was just going to give us the hand and leave. She was high as a kite. She was getting high. She was doing all that junk. She went in to saw the pastor. And whatever happened. She come out and he wouldn't take us. I don't know whether I felt more rejected, the one she was giving us away or one that somebody wouldn't take us. I hadn't been by that place in 20, 30 years. And then we were with Donette and Todd one day. We went to listen to a friend of ours preach at another church over towards Fountain Inn. And so we'd come back through there, and I saw it. And I saw the house where the pastor lived. And I just caught my breath. You there then? There it is. There's the church. There's the pastor's house. Deep stuff, huh? Deep stuff. Samuel could have been angry. He could have been angry. He had every right to be angry. He had every right to rebel. He had every right to cuss. He had every right to destroy. But you know what? That didn't happen. It didn't happen. Let me tell you something about Hannah. You knew who Samuel grew up to be, right? That great man of God. Huh? Yeah? Yeah, good stuff. Hannah had it in her power. What? What if she didn't honor that promise she made to God? What if she did not honor that promise she made to God? Who would Samuel grow up to be? If she didn't listen to God and do the right thing by God and by her child and put herself aside to do the right thing, what could she have destroyed? Our Bibles would read a whole lot different than they do today. Story number 3. Joshua. Ta-da! Take it one more. Oh yeah, this thing works. I ain't gonna touch that. If it's working, just do it. All right, yeah, don't put the scripture yet. All right, this was Moses' mother. Go to read about it. Exodus chapter 2. You know what happened when Moses was born? Male Hebrew children in Egypt, they were slaughtered. Slaughtered. If you go back and study the history of that day and time, if a woman got pregnant, she usually had an abortion. They had to let the kid be born and then slaughtered. Instead of, well, she let him be born. She let him be born. She didn't kill him. She put him in the Nile and let him go down the river, because here's what she did. She was hoping, praying, and believing that somebody was going to find him and somebody was going to give him a good life. Wow. Wow. So rather than see him be killed, she gave Moses a chance at life, even if that life was without her. She had faith that God would take care of him. She trusted the Lord, but here's even better. She did not fear evil. It's one thing to trust the Lord, but it's another thing not to fear evil. Put the scripture up. Hurry in, help me out. Hebrews 11:23.
By faith, Moses was hidden by Amram and Jochebed, his parents, for 3 months after he was born, because they saw that he was a beautiful child and were not afraid of the king's order.
Yeah. They were not afraid of the king and his evil. In the defiance of the king and defiance of evil, they did what was right. This is good stuff. Now here's the deal, you know, the lady who found Moses was, why do you fill in the blank? You know the story.
His sister.
Speak up.
His sister.
Pharaoh's daughter. Okay, we are Sunday school next Sunday morning. Be here at Southern Sharp, and we're going to go through the Old Testament Bible stories. Okay.
Let's fix this. His sister followed the basket down the river. Pharaoh's daughter actually found it. There we go.
She heard it. It's heard it.
Who? And so he ended up with a home. He ended up in a place that he would never be if she didn't honor God and honor her child. And watch this. And who did the mom become to Moses?
His nurse.
His nurse. She gave Moses up for adoption. See, there's a difference when you got to make a hard choice, right? You guys listen to me? On one side, it's like a pendulum. On one side, you got to make a really true hard choice. On one side, you got the heartbreak you're going to go through if you make the right choice. But on the other side, you got the blessed. Most of us would choose to go to the heartbreak than to let go and follow God's plan for us. Now here's the deal. Can you imagine? That's her. You know how the plans that she had for her son. We're going to go play this. We're going to do this. We're going to go to the park. We're going to go fishing. You know. Here's the deal. She had to trust God with her dreams for her son. How many of y'all have kids? You got dreams for them. We all do. She had to trust God with her dreams for her own son. Watch this. Because what happened to him was not in her control. You guys got this? I don't want to miss something. She was powerless. Listen to me. She was powerless to change the circumstances. She couldn't make Pharaoh change the law at that point in time. She had no control over what was happening when DSS walks in the door. You had no control over some things. She was powerless, but here's the deal. She was powerless, but she was not helpless. But she lost her kid, so she was helpless. No, she wasn't helpless. It only appeared that she was helpless. When you become helpless, there is no choices. You're completely helpless, right? No choice. She had a choice. Honor God. Have faith in God. Trust God. Make the right choice. She wasn't helpless. Good stuff. I really believe. Y'all know who Moses became? Who was Moses? I'll tell it. Everybody can talk at the same time. I love y'all. I needed an interpreter because everybody was like speaking in tongues. All right. He became the greatest leader in the history of the Old Testament. He saved an entire nation. He went to Pharaoh. He stood in the face of Pharaoh, and he said, "Let my people go." There was no fear of the king. Where did he learn that?
From a bush.
A flaming bush.
When he don't, dude, when Matthew is on, he's on.
That's because he's got sleepness.
But you know what happens when he does that in court? You're in contempt, $100 fine, pay at the door. He led the Hebrew people out of bondage. He saved them. If his mother didn't do what she did, he had the faith, the courage. He did the right thing because he could have been killed. He could have, wow. Everything he become, even though he didn't grow up in his mother's home, his mother gave him. Ain't that beautiful? Here's the deal. No, she didn't. The sister did. Later, she prophesied one day he's going to lead us out of bondage. He's going to lead us out of slavery. But here's the deal. She didn't see all that. She didn't have all the answers. She just had to know. She had to do what? Trust God, have faith in God, and have courage. Now, where's all this going? Here we go. You ready? We're about to hit the roller coaster. We're at the top of the hill. These three mothers, each in spite of their situation and their circumstances, each did not curse God, did not attack God, did not have a meltdown, though I'm sure they hurt. I'm sure they were broken. They did not do the selfish thing. They did what was right before God. They did what was right for their child. They put their child over their own wants and needs. I can probably count on one hand the number of percentages in America of what moms would actually do the right thing. And fathers. Fathers are worse. Each mom honored God. They trusted God. They exhibited a great faith. But here's one of the big points they understood. They understood, and they were okay with what happened, because every one of these circumstances was not under their own power and control. But they understood that there was a bigger plan being played out. God wasn't destroying me. God wasn't taking my kid. God didn't hate me. God wasn't against me. And these kids grew up, and they didn't say, God is mad at me. And I have a bad life. I hate it. I'm just going to go drink and get drunk. And I'm going did that. The boys didn't do that because the mothers were different. The mothers understood that what happens is in God's hands. And if God allowed it, He's got it. And if God's going to allow it, He's working out a purpose. And if the bad times come, these things are going to be used to get you to where He wants you, to put you in a place of authority, a place of power, a place where you see things that other people don't see. And you know things other people don't know, and God is going to use you. Those mothers had the common sense to know that if I'd have held this precious baby, if I'd have done it the way I would have wanted, I would have destroyed God's plan. Wow. The mothers submitted to the power and authority and providence of God. And God wrote a great story out of every one of their lives. Samuel, great story. Moses, a great story. They become great men, but facing the situations they were born into, the situations they faced in their family, you could never see greatness facing that. They want to kill your kid. Your mama threw you away, gave you away. See, the moms knew that God was in control, and no matter what happened, they were okay with it. And there's people in our group right now, you lost your children. You didn't do anything to lose them. But you made peace with God. You trusted God. You had to let go and let God do what only God can do. And I'm proud of you for that. If I ask you today, even if your children are grown up now, if I gave you the option for your kid, your children, your future children, your grandchildren, if I gave you the option that they would one day grow up to be a Samuel or a Moses that will change the world, save the world, impact the world, that their name would be written forever, and that people would use it 2,000, 5,000 years later to inspire the world, to change the world, would you want your kid to change the world like that? And most of us say yes. You want something good for your kid, your children. But here's my next question. Will you pay the price for that to happen? Do you have the vision to see that the things that are happening in your life and that kid's life are absolutely already equipping that kid, even if they're an infant, for what they're going to become one day? That God is working in everything. And the worst thing a kid can grow up in is in a home with a parent that is angry with their past and angry with God, because we instilled that into the kids. When we haven't even made peace with our own lives, you're walking a fine line of changing that kid's future. Or maybe that's what the kid needs to see. You know, I have moms in our group that I don't want them to see this divorce I'm going through. And for those of us who've been through it, we know it's okay. They'll come out of it. But for a mom who wants to protect her kid, you can't always protect your children. And even if you do protect and hide them from them, you're not giving them a chance to grow up and learn how to deal with emotion. And when they don't know how to deal with emotion, then they'll go out and destroy themselves later because they don't know how to process it. And where am I going with this? What price would we pay for Samuel to have for Samuel and Moses, for our kids to be like that? Would we do what's right? Are we going to have that kind of faith in God, that kind of trust in God, that kind of love for God and for Him to understand that God's doing? Do we really have that? Now, here's the other question. For those of us who are grown now, you know, you were meant to be a Samuel. You were meant to be a Moses. God has a plan. And you don't go through some of the things that you've been through, except God is taking you somewhere with you. That you can grow up angry. You can grow up destructive. And in the end, you'll hate yourself, and you'll hate God, and you'll hate it. And not only that, your children will now be infected with that. Moses and Samuel didn't do that. See, it's all about a matter of perspective. Is that up there? Go to the next slide for me, guys. I don't want to touch those. Maybe not. Okay. Somebody read that for me. Jeremiah 29.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in the future.
How many people say that's one of my favorite verses? How many people have got it on their wall at home in a picture or a frame or all? Yeah! How many of us understand that? Yeah. Yeah. For those of us who don't, all that hurt you went through, I'm not going to destroy you. I'm going to use it. See, it would be Moses and Samuel could have took the easy way out, okay, and believed the lie that they're nothing, they're nobody, they weren't wanted, something's wrong. They could have believed the lie. My mama didn't want me. She gave me away. My dad didn't fight for me. They put me in this stupid basket. They took me to the priest and gave me away. They didn't want me. They didn't love me. God didn't save me. God took my family from me. God is against me. Why did God let this happen to me? There is no God. I curse Him. I hate Him. If they believe this lie and let that lie consume them, which is what the devil wants you to believe, you want me to believe, then they would have missed their God-given purpose and destiny. Remember what I told you? When God's doing something great, it never looks like greatness. See, it would have been easy for Moses and Samuel to say, I'm cursed. Look what happened in my life. It would have been easy for their moms to say, I'm cursed. What they didn't know is they were absolutely blessed and called of God. So you let the devil get in your head, and you process it wrong, and the footholds get in, and the strongholds get in. You're cursing God, and God's like, I have just blessed you. These three mothers did not know what God's plan was, but they had faith. They trusted God. They showed courage. They honored God. They did what was right in the face of fear and death. Now, here's another thing those mothers understood, and I hope mothers here are going to hear it today. I hope fathers here are going to hear it today. And I hope the children here are going to hear it. You know how much these mothers love their children? They love them. But the mothers understood as much as they loved them, those kids didn't even belong to them. They belong to God. And who are they to get in the way of God's plan that is being worked on? See, the moms had a role to play. And this is the role they had to play: to invest. Well, of course, that means love and wipe their butts and feed them. Equip and empower them. Invest, equip, and empower them. What do you mean? Invest in what? Equip what? Empower what, Jeff? With the same kind of love that they had learned from God, the same kind of faith they had in God, the same kind of trust they had in God, the same kind of courage they had, the same kind of honor they had, that if they do the right thing, their kid would do the right thing. Samuel did, Moses did. That's beautiful. Stood in the face. Huh? What did they instill in them? They instilled in them that you follow God no matter what the world says. You follow God and trust God no matter how bad it gets. No matter what comes, you follow God. That's what they taught their children, and that's why their children grow up to be great men of God. See, their mothers just didn't know this verse and recite this verse. They lived this verse. For I know the plans I have for you, plans not to prosper you and not to harm you. They're killing the babies. What do you mean, a plan not to harm you? I had to give my kid a, what do you mean? Is there any wonder why Samuel became the man of God that he was? It was his mother. Or Moses. They would never have been the men they were without their moms. Because in character, in the deeper qualities, they were their mom. Fix them, turn this upside down. I'm warning you before it happens. I'm warning you. I'm warning you. Here it comes. You ready? Okay. This is my ending. These mothers and children all face terrible situations, right? They did. They faced terrible situations. But they chose to be different. They chose to love, to have faith, to trust, to have courage and honor God. They chose to live a different life. These mothers worked with God within the context of the hand they were dealt. So we can't choose the hand we're dealt in life. We can't choose the lot we're dealt in life. All we can choose is what we do with what happens. No, we're going to have courage. We're going to follow God. We're going to trust God. We're going to put it in God's hands and understand that if we have no power over it, He does. That we're not helpless. We can surrender to God. And no matter what God has us go through, no matter what we have to face, God is working out something. But when you have parents who see that there's something bigger in their own life, something bigger in the life of this church, something bigger in their kids' lives that you have no power over, well, it's good because He does. He does. See, the thing about Moses and Samuel, they didn't grow up as victims. They didn't. Some of us have been through hard lives, I get that. So let me give you some truths and perspective to make sure we don't mess things up going forward. Ready? Here we go. Truths and perspective. Number one, it's a quote from a few weeks ago. We make our choices, then our choices make us. Make your choice. You make your choice to get angry and hate and hold grudges. Okay. And you'll lose 4 years of your life. You wonder, man, and when the truth comes out finally, you finally make peace with God. You could have made peace with God when you were 15, 14, 12, or 20. But you wasted your whole life in anger, in bitterness, in sin, and it destroyed you, and it probably destroyed your own children. We make our choices, our choices make us. Will we give our heart and lives to God even if it's broken? The next one. God's purposes and will be accomplished in your life and in your child's life, not because of a perfect life with all the advantages, but in most cases in spite of it. The mamas who've lived this are not in their heads. The kids who get this are not in their heads. If you hadn't got it, that's why you didn't catch it. That's what I like about Catherine. Catherine had to face some things growing up, like a lot of us. How old are you now, Catherine? 42?
32.
32? Catherine, you know what's special about you? Look where you're at. Look at your husband sitting beside you. Has he walked out on you? Has he abandoned you? Has he done it to his kid? Do you think he will ever do that to your kid? So has God redeemed your past? Has God given you everything that was ever taken from you? Do you realize it? You make your choices, and your choices make you. And the plan that God has for your life, no matter what happens, you didn't have a perfect thing, but God will still, in spite of the past. There's even more than that. Watch this. The bad, the evil, and even the tragedies will not only enable God's plan and will for your life and your child's life to become a reality, but guarantee it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, I need some people to tattoo that to your wife's forehead so you can read it every morning. Because what did happen? The blind man, right? I use this story so much lately. Why was he born blind? Who sinned? Who? Mom, his parents, or him? Jesus says, but because it happened, doesn't matter what happened, you're going to see the Son of Man do a miracle. That's the guarantee that if you trust God, you follow God, even if you hurt and you're broken, it doesn't make sense, that one day His plan for your life will come to fruition. And then you'll look back and praise God for what you went through and thank God for what you went through because it prepared you to be great. To be great. This is good stuff. Okay, one more. Many times in life, we may feel like God has rejected us, but the truth of the matter is that God, in His mercy, grace, and providence, has chosen us and called us. Somebody called me this week, and they're in the room, so I ain't going to point them out. Hey, Tammy. I can't hear God.
You're in trouble.
And what did God tell you? Not what did Jeff tell you. What did God tell you? Do you remember?
Not the moment, because the moment I want to hurt you.
When we are facing times when we can't hear God, it's just our perspective. The times He's silent is the times He's yelling the loudest. It's the times you can't see Him. It's the times He's fighting the most. And when you're really, really angry, and I get that you're angry, and it's okay to be angry. You don't have to be perfect like Moses or Samuel. I'm sure they weren't either. I'm sure they had hard times too, dealing with it all. But here's the deal. It's where you end up. It's where God ends up. And He has called you. You show me a person who's been through something, I'm going to show you somebody who's called of God. Now we're done with my sermon except for one thing. The mystery. There's a mystery. Did you guys even catch it? You want me to tell you what I'm thinking about? What happened to Billy Bob? We know what happened to Moses. We know what happened to Samuel. What happened to Billy Bob? What do you think happened to Billy Bob? What do you think happened to Billy Bob? We're not told. I'm going to tell you what I think. Even though he was in a bad situation, no father, evil, poverty, his mother was a prostitute, but she still had honor. She still had courage. She still had character. She still believed in God. She still put her faith in God. He might have had a hard time those teen years, but you know where Billy Bob ended up? Just like his mama. He might have had money. He might have been poor, but he's got character. He's going to fight for his children. He's going to do the right thing in the face of death. You know how he learned to do all these things? His mom. Or he could be angry that he didn't have all these things and go off and destroy his life. And never really realize how blessed he was. Everything's a choice. Everything's kind of a choice. Now, all of us here have different stories. And we're still facing things now. But it comes down to a choice. Do you instill those qualities into your kid? It's okay to let your kids watch you hurt. It's not okay if your kids watch you destroy everything. It's okay if you didn't have the perfect family life or give them the perfect family life. I believe that Billy Bob grew up to honor God in spite of his surroundings. There's some mothers in our group. There's some mothers and there's some children in our group. Some of these children are adults in this room. I'm going to recognize Audrey. You know her story. You know what she's been through. She had every right to give up, to walk away, her stuff, destroy her son, destroy everyone in her life. But when the time comes, nobody did right by her growing up. But when the time comes, you know what she did? She faced the evil, she faced the darkness, and she did the right thing. If you don't know the story, talk to her sometime. Let her tell you. She gave her, you know what her kid's going to grow up to be? You know what Tegan's going to grow up to be? A woman of faith, courage, stand against the darkness. You don't surrender. You don't give up on God. You don't attack God. She has given her child, who can't even understand what we're talking about right now, these qualities have already been instilled in her. if Michelle was here, she went through some tough times in her life. But what she's done with Kenzie's amazing. One of the other moms, Kirsten, and Kirsten was, I hope you're watching this at some point, that you actually see this. You know, I'm encouraging her when she's telling me about the kid, everything being sick, and she can't come this morning. And I said, she goes, I didn't want to come make a bad impression. The kid's throwing up, I'm throwing up, I didn't want to make a bad impression. And I said, me and Dave already know her, so yeah, you've already made a good impression. You've already captured our heart. That's what she said. I told her, you already captured our heart. We love her family. We love who she is. And she said, she sent a text back. You come bring me my phone, and she said, smoke and mirrors. But here's the deal. She has faced, I don't know her story, and I'm going to put her story out here, but she has faced the ultimate wow twice in her life. And she may be broken inside, she may put on a good front, but I see her. Dave, we see her. Her children are going to grow up fine, beautiful. They might be hurting now, but they're going to be great. Because their mom, when she could have died, when she could have walked away, when she could have given up, she's still standing. Terry, the mom that had the fire, hope you're watching too. Her son was in trouble. He was a grown boy, a man, an adult. She left everything behind to come do right by him. Now he's saved. He's living for God. He has changed his life, and God's going to use that boy in ways that I can never even dream. I don't even measure up with who he's going to be. You instill that in? That's fine. Amy's sitting here this morning. Amy's got a story. Amy should not be sitting here this morning. And she's holding that precious baby. Yeah. Amy, I'm proud of you. So you and Audrey have something in common. Y'all went through some of the same things. And the world might have took something from you, but you know what it never took from either one of you? Your spirit. Your faith. You guys are heroes. And I know what your daughter's going to grow up to be. There's no doubt. Anthony just walked around with that little girl. Anthony and I, and some of you, we didn't have a mama like the ones we're talking about. But you know what? It ain't about being a victim anymore. You know what it's about? If God allowed it. God has a bigger plan beyond it. We can either fight it, hate it, or we embrace it, and we let God heal us, grow us, change us, put us together, and then we'll be unstoppable to change the world. Shelly's sitting up here in the front row. Shelly's been on both sides already. She's been the kid that nobody loved and beat down and things that happened to her, but she is on the front line fighting for total strangers. Her kids, when I met them, they were kind of frustrated. We're always moving from house to house. We live in 3 houses every year. We're always moving. But you know what I told, I never really, I don't know if I ever told this to Justin, but I did the other two. But you know what? Your mama never gave you away. You might live in different houses you didn't have what all the other kids didn't have, and your mom was a mess for a long time. But here's the deal. In the middle of all that mess, she held on to you. That's a hero, brother. You got all these things you could be angry about. My good buddy, my new friend, a partner that God sent, Dave back there. I think David had good parents growing up. Dave had to face some things. Dave was out of church. He told us, what, 12 years, right? But even when he was away, he grew in God. And God has given him answers. And he has a love for people, especially children or young people who didn't have a father. And he goes from place to place, person to person, house to house, almost filling in the void, filling in the gap, encouraging, building, listening. I love you, David. I love you. See, every one of us, this is why this church is going to be that church that is going to be the greatest show. Not because it's a show. When God heals this group, finishes putting this together, when God unleashes this on this community, and He already is beginning, what you've been through, your story, because you're still standing, you're still here. You didn't get into the hate, you didn't give into the rejection, you were thrown away, you weren't loved, you had issues with pastors, churches, parents. But you know what? You're here. You know what you're teaching your kid? You don't give up. You don't walk away. Out of the ashes, you will rise again. The first symbol of the first church, the Christian church, was not the cross. So when Jesus died, and the church became the church, there was no cross yet. We didn't wear crosses yet. You know what? They used the symbol of a phoenix. Rises from the ashes. So I'm proud of you for being here. I'm proud of each of you. No matter how hard it's been. And if you're sitting here going, but Jeff, I haven't got it together yet. Well, good, I haven't either. But you know what? Tomorrow, let's make peace with God. Let's heal together. And let's fight for each other. Let's build one another. Let's put into each other what wasn't put into us. And let's help each other see what when I look at Willie, I don't see this broken, crazy maniac that he might have been. All I see is a man of God. That's right. Who's absolutely changing his girlfriend, his mother. And you have no idea. God wants to do something great in each of our lives. Megan. You know what's great about Megan? Is that sometimes parents start a ministry, have a dream, but it's usually their children who comes and finishes it. You know, the Solomons. Megan's going to do stuff in ministry that her mom has dreamed about her whole life, but for whatever reason, God's given to her daughter. God loves you guys. The only thing that can stop God from working in your life is you. Don't wake up when you're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 on your deathbed before you realize I can get saved and go to heaven. It's not about heaven. It's about the destination. Who you love, who you change, who you become an inspiration for, who you inspire, who you empower. That's us. But I'm proud of y'all. Proud of you, little lady. I need to put you in timeout sometimes, but other than that, you're good. Don't be angry. If you're angry, fight through it. Whatever you do, the bad stuff that was handed you, let God use it to change you, grow you, transform you. That way your kids are not the ones I'm talking to in 20 years trying to get them to do the right thing. Why don't we do the right thing now? Yeah.
So, talking about anger, all this stuff, right down the alley where you're at. It's been 2 weeks since I've had my last angry outburst. Tomorrow marks 2 weeks. But I want to give it to you. I want to give it to Shelly. I want to give it to you myself for the strength. But I give it to God, but I also give it to my wife. Because she's...
By the way, your belly's showing.
She's, like you said, she's, God puts those people in our lives, that grew up, our lives that grew up. God puts people in our lives. And usually,
really, Anthony? Really?
And you want to attack them. You
really
want to be mean to them. You want to hurt them because you want them to hurt like you.
And you don't even know it.
You want them to feel the way you do because, like when Jeff said that his mom, when he was all that, all I wanted to do is, no, she left you, she abandoned you, and all I want to do is to almost attack, because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't see it to be real. And then I went home with my wife, and I went for a little, walk, if you will, and I came to the realization that, my wife is the mom I've been searching for. Not my mom, but
yes,
something that, is out there that is real.
God's giving you the real thing now, redeeming the past.
And so,
it's all right in front of you.
With my anger, I want to be angry at my mom. I want to be angry at God. I want to be angry at these things, but the problem is I'm not. I can't.
What changed?
Me, my outlook, my
perspective, outlook.
Yeah,
God.
the whole fact that everything's a choice. I have the choice when I wake up in the morning to be angry and to go about all the things in my life that I have like you said, I have the right. Everyone tells me, you should be angry, you should hate everyone, you should do all these things that, why aren't you, why don't you? And some people have a hard time even believing the life I had because of my outlook, my
You're making me mad now. Because
Because
when I tell people my story today, no! You were this in the Navy, you did that, you got this thing, you didn't grow up. Like, they can't even say it no more, Anthony.
It was so
Yeah.
bad that, like, Sarah's mom, Robin, we all know her. When she and I first talked,
Yeah.
she had to call my mom.
Right.
And she called her and started asking her all these questions. And of course, you know, my mom was where she was. She started denying it all. But when she got off the phone, she didn't believe my mom. She sat there and knew. And she's just like, how are you so happy? And I'm like, honestly, it's the only thing that keeps me going.
But you know where that comes from, that joy in you when it comes out, when we saw when you were 9. It's God. You've just been in a war from 9 to now.
So pretty much what I'm saying is, all those that are facing, all those that are in the dark, all those that are hating life right now and contemplating should they be the person that everyone says they should be or this person that they want to be on the inside. Because I come to church, I wanted to hate and I wanted to be angry, but internally I wanted this. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to do these great things.
Yes.
And I finally got to the point where I was done with it and I hated it.
Yes.
There's a song, can't remember it, God talks about wanting success, and he goes, meet me at the beach at 4 in the morning. And when he gets there at 4 in the morning, he puts his head underwater and holds him there. And finally, he lets the kid up, and the kid's like, what does this have to do with success? And he's like, what does this have to do with success? And this is pretty much, he looks at him and he goes, when you want to succeed as bad as you just wanted to breathe, then you will achieve what you want. Then you will achieve what you're looking for in the aspect. And we view success as all these materialistic world things when success is nothing but God. So when you want God as much as you want to breathe when you're being held underwater, you'll reach a point that I reached almost 2 weeks ago, where you fall to your knees, you fall down, and you literally, to the point where it's laughable, it's joking, you want to make fun of it, but at the same time, it's your last resort. It's the last thing that you can do, and it's when you finally give yourself and you give that, it's amazing. It's wonderful, and it's something that I thought I'd had this whole time, and I was still getting angry, I was still getting mad, and I was still having all these doubts and these things in the back of my mind, and I'm like, I was healed. I got saved at 9 years old from my mom, because I wanted to save her. Now I realize I didn't get saved from my mom. I got saved for me, I got saved for my wife, I got saved for everybody. Because I'm not just going to bring my mom to God. I may not be the one to do that. But I know I brought my friend Josh, that when some of y'all met him, he brought his family. I brought so many people to God. And half the people I bring to God, I'm not even trying to bring to God.
Amen.
All I'm trying to do is to make them happy, to give them a bright light, to be that person that I didn't have. I look out and I see people that are hurting, and it hurts me, because I know what it's like to truly hurt. I know what it's like to truly be under that thumb of the evil oppression. So when I see it, I want to take that away from them, because when you truly know what it's like to hurt, when you see people, you don't want them to hurt. You know, everything, the anger, all these things that are out there. When you have 1,000 reasons telling you to do something, and only one reason telling you not to, and that one reason is God, it's worth it.
Amen.
It's totally worth it, because to me, I have millions of reasons every day. God ain't real. Your wife doesn't love you. All these things, all these insecurities, all these voices, all these things that I hear. But there's that one voice that is stronger than all of them. And that's the one that keeps me going. That's the one that allows me to look at my wife and be truly happy. The one that allows me to hold my daughter, and the one that allows me to respect and love my family in a way that I've never been able to before.
I want to say this.
Anyways.
People look. My friend, Kirsten. Hi, Kirsten. She says, look in mirrors. It made me smile because I see the real her, just like, I know. Sorry. Just like with Anthony. Anthony saw hurt all these years. He saw brokenness. You know what I saw? I saw this. I saw a guy that's going to change the world. I saw a kid who had a calling on his life. I saw the girl that first time he brought her to my house, the first weekend he met her, and I told her if he doesn't do her right, she needs to get rid of him. Yeah, I remember. You remember that, huh? But when they left the house, that's what I told her. Well, yeah, you should have saw the look on his face. When they left the house, I told Dan, I said, they're getting married one day. She's got a calling on her life too. When you're a kid like me, you recognize a kid like you. You recognize a mom who was like my mom, who was broken. My mom, something went wrong. Things got crazy. She made bad choices. I can hate her or I can forgive her. As long as I hold on to that hate, I will never be Jeff. I will never find me. And I won't be standing here, and he won't be standing here, we won't be here. That's why it has to be making peace with God, facing it, healing it. And what God has done with this group is He's taught us how to love, and how to heal, and how to equip, and how to see the best, and how to fight, but also how to let God be God, and let God do what only God can do. And sometimes you gotta wait.
You know why I thank God for everything I went through is because one day, one event, my wife told me what she went through her whole life, her whole childhood. I didn't have the strength. My first thought was run. She's going to become your mom. She's going to, life will be hell. You're not going to survive this. She's going to destroy you. You're going to destroy her. Your family's now broken. When I found that news. And I had a literal 20-minute powwow myself in my car fighting that demon because I wanted to run. I didn't want to go down this path with her because I was scared because every person I saw take this path failed. My mom, my aunts, my sisters, everybody that I've seen in all my experiences that went down the path that my wife had to walk down and was about to walk to didn't survive. But they didn't have God.
Amen.
Where I judged my wife and I judged that situation the way I looked at my sisters, and I'm like, she's just gonna, it's done. The woman I knew is gone, but I didn't realize that she had God where my other people didn't. They blamed God. They ran away from God. They attacked God because He was He was the problem to them. Right. My wife, she didn't. I was running from God, and she, out of the blue, I'm going to start singing at church. I have to be there twice a week now. Wait, what? I'm trying to get out of this church, you know.
You can edit that out. He was
because I was in a very dark spot. I was in a very bad place. Even though I blamed God and I was angry at God, I still loved Him. I was still there fighting for Him, and I would have defended Him to anyone. I'm like, I don't care what He's put me through. I'm still there. I'm still fighting. But my wife, I didn't know that she had that same mentality. I didn't, because I was too blind because of my hurt.
Preach the truth, brother.
But anyways, if you don't stop, I'm going to keep talking, and no one's going to. You think you're bad? I asked her. I had 2 hours.
He'll go all day if he wants.
So I need a cut point.
Yeah. Listen. Hey, here's the deal. No matter what has happened in your life, God is there. God loves you. God's got you. He's got you. He's got your children. If you think you did your children wrong, God's got them too. Put your faith and trust in God. Put your courage in God. And let God do what only God can do, which is fix your life. You can. Let's pray. Lord, I love you. Well, I love you, and I praise you for who you are, not for what you've done for me or for Anthony or for anybody else, but you are God. You are the Creator. You're the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings, the great I am, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. And God, that's the truth. The devil wants to take us and take the situations and destroy us. But Lord, I thank you for moms. I thank you for children that have grown up through situations without a father or with a father or vice. Lord, no matter what tragedy has come, God, you're in it. You're behind it. And God, you're going to orchestrate a bigger plan if we will trust you. And God, for those of us, like Dana shared last week, I grew up in a good home. I had good Christian parents. And Lord, then you have so much to offer those of us who never did. If you got the money and the house and the pool and the car and the vacations, take some kids with you. If you have a good life, encourage people who don't. Be the example that let God use you. And God, in the end, we're all broken people. We're born into a broken world. We're all really honestly, what most people see is smoke and mirrors. But God, may we be a church that absolutely loves people, that is real, that doesn't play the game. God, that we will have the power to see that kid, like in the opening scene of The Greatest Showman, God. He was really just a kid who was poor, had holes in his shoes. He was nothing, but he had a dream. God, you have a dream for each one of us. You have your purpose, your destiny, your calling. And God, we may start out on one end of the spectrum. But God, if we are willing to just follow you and trust you, God, somehow you get us through it. When we come out on the other end, it will be that greatest show because, God, we'll be living in your will, in your power, your authority. God, we honor you and we thank you. We thank you for, well, I thank you for Anthony. I thank you for, God, that you're nowhere even near being done with him. But, God, I thank you for that, the hump that he's crossed over. Lord, we love you. Praise your name. Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Anthony. Oh, hey!